There we go. Hey, you. What's going on, man? You know, this is yours truly. You're looking true. What's the main deal? You know what I'm saying? Um, this is the prescription. This is where I analyze certain aspects of life and I really get down to it. And we'll turn this music down a little bit so you can hear my voice. I try to some of the things that I try to accomplish with this show um are just thoughts. Just being able to think and put thoughts out and you know, being able to reach out to people with these same thoughts and maybe some different thoughts. You know, I'm just here to put this out. You know, but I do think a lot of the things that we see um, are very much strange and or just better yet, some things just deserve to be broken down. And sometimes I just feel like breaking shit down and analyzing. That's the type of brain that I have. So, excuse me. That's what I do here with the prescription, man. But in the meantime, before we get into the show, like I said, we gonna be in and out of here in about 30 minutes. You know what I'm talking about? Um, if you are in the DFW area, one furniture restoration, don't throw it out. Give us a shot. If you got a chair that ain't being fair, if you have a table that ain't stable, I'll at brooksg953 at gmail.com, QR code on the top left hand corner. You understand me? Now, also, I need you guys to understand what's going on. You know, I need you guys to go download Substack if you like to read, if you like that old school style type of blog where it ain't a bunch of, hoopla and hippity hoppity as the old head say. But if you're a person that likes to just get to it, this is not a social media platform. It's a platform for thinkers and readers and doers of the ghetto gospel. You know what I'm talking about, or just whatever they want to talk about. But Substack is a dope. It's a dope app. I love it. I get all different type of feedback over there than I do anywhere else. So I fuck with it. You understand what I'm saying? Also, go and find me everywhere. Everywhere you type in the Trill Pill, you see what comes up. You know, IG, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Substack, Spotify. I'm getting my Spotify back reorganized, so I have to break some of that shit up and make it separate and create whole new accounts for different stuff and a whole bunch of other shit. But I'm getting to it. And find me on Twitch. Speaking of Twitch, Trill Pill Gaming. Go follow that on Twitch and YouTube. I think I'm gonna take the a different approach to Twitch other than gaming, but for right now, I think it serves just that purpose, and I don't have a problem with that. You understand what I'm saying? But other than that, man, let's get to the show. Let's get to the show, man. We talking about the same water. The same water. I know a lot of y'all out there, if y'all heard that saying about the same water that softens the potato, the same oil. Goddamn, I fucked it up already. The same oil that hardens the egg softens the potato. You understand what I'm saying? And I think in my opinion, how I see that, right, is I'm analyzing. I'm looking at it. I'm because I haven't even heard that saying until like 2 weeks ago, and it took me a minute. Like before I even looked it up. Like this is what I do. Like before, if I see something new, I won't really just look it up. I'll think about it for you know what I'm saying, for a little moment. Like, okay, what does that mean? What is that? How is that a part of life? And then once I gather my own thought, and then I will look at other people's thoughts and be like, oh, okay, this is what and try to see if my thoughts, if they parallel, if they're different, how different they are from different, people, what I'm saying, how people just see it. I I love having conversations and dialogue with people about new perspective. I'm not one that just stomps down on new perspectives just because I don't like them or I don't understand them. I think that's the dumbest shit of all time. I think that is what keeps you from being intelligent, is the fact that instead of hearing somebody else's, side about, not really side, but somebody else's perspective on what something means, you just, oh no, that ain't right. Like, well, in this when you think about it, do we really know who's right and who's wrong? Or is there even a right or wrong about how you analyze certain shit, right? So the same water that softens the potato hardens the egg. This is the alchemy of adversity, right? Now, there's an old proverb that goes the same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. And at first glance, I thought it was just simple kitchen wisdom. You know, that sounds like some kitchen. It's like something your grandma would say, your auntie would say, but I think beneath it lies one of the most profound truths about life and struggle and the essence of human character. So in a world increasingly obsessed with external metrics, where there's external and extrinsic, however you want to flip that, um, metrics, external metrics, the followers, the dollars, degrees, all that shit. We often forget that the crucible of growth is eternal, right? So it's not the temper of water that determines who you are. It's what you're made of. So this piece, if you ain't found that by now, it ain't gonna be about eggs or potatoes. Even though I'm about to go in the kitchen and cook up, maybe some eggs and potatoes. They do sound fire for breakfast. You know what I'm talking about? Hash browns, eggs on a sandwich. You know what I'm talking about? On a biscuit, on a cheddar cheese biscuit. No, we're talking about that right now. It's simply about me and you and me. Everyone trying to navigate the heat of life without losing ourselves in the process, right? So let's take it's three aspects from this: the water, the egg, and the potato, right? So let's focus on the water first. Now, the unavoidable pressure of life, that boiling water is universal. It represents the stress and the trauma and the conflict and the resistance that we all inevitably face. Um, the breakup, the betrayal, the loss, the injustice, the silence that we needed when we were at our worst point, the silence that we had to have, but shit was too loud to even, be silent. If that makes any sense. The silence when we needed support. The scream when we deserve understanding or overstanding. The water doesn't ask whether you're ready or not. The shit just boils, you know. But here's the twist though, right? Everyone enters that same water, but not everyone leaves the same, you know. And for one, it breaks them down, and for another, it brings out their toughness. For instance, I played ball, I played football, or any sport that you play. Sometimes when that coach is on your ass, it's either gonna do one or two things. Either you gonna, oh man, oh shucks type of shit, or you gonna turn up. You know what I'm saying? Like you either gonna take that as, you kind of have to know, what I'm saying? Like it's either gonna do those two things to you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that. It's no gray area, no in between. The boiling water is just hot. It just is what it is. So it's either gonna make you tough, or it's either going to break you down, right? And that adversity doesn't build character. In my opinion, it reveals it. And sometimes it reveals what's being buried or what's being ignored, whether it's wounds or traumas or doubts. And those things must be faced to evolve, right? And so now let's take a look at the potato. You know what I'm saying? The potato. Um, so the potato is a softness that comes from vulnerability, right? The potato goes in firm. Pause. 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 I know some of y'all are like, oh, hey, yo, I didn't pause. The potato goes in firm, but the heat pulls something from deep inside. Pause again. But now, let's stay focused. The potato goes in firm, but the heat pulls out. It pulls, pause. The heat pulls something from deep inside, and that's its softness, right? The In people, this is often the grit, or the not grit, but the gift of empathy. You know, some people are cracked open by life. They soften, not because they're weak, but because their hearts are still reachable. They feel more. They cry out. They become the type of person who hears pain, like in between the lines. Um, who the people who refuse to meet cruelty with more cruelty, right? And I'm that way, you know, to a certain extent. Now, if you go too far, I'm on your ass. You know what I'm talking about? But for the most part, I think the people who are empathetic, you know, I think just being an empath, just being able to be more tuned in um, to my spirit, like especially just like lately, like I've always been that way as a child and growing up. And those are things that my people always tell me to be aware of and don't lose that because that's special and it's going to be important at a certain day and age and time. I never believed it, but now that we sit here in the day and age and time where everybody's desensitized, I think for someone to really recognize what's going on and to be able to see people in a different light, I think that's very important because it's rare. You know, it's rare that you find an actual genuine person with a genuine soul. It's rare that you can go and you can talk to somebody. They don't tell your business out there on the street. It's rare, you know. It's really really rare. And because my life personally has been disturbed by loss and grief and anger, and I have to find a way to control all those things. I have to find a way to deal with a lot of that shit. I just come up with a different understanding that shit. I just gotta keep going because I got something to live for. I got myself to live for. I got my kids to live for. I got my family to live for. I can't check out now. It ain't time to check out. You know, you can't take yourself out the game when the game get important. When your team needs you, you can't check yourself out the game. Even though you tired and you exhausted, you gotta find something within you to keep going. We'll worry about we'll worry about the the effects of it later, but they might have to drag me off the field at the end of the game, but I cannot accept not leaving my all on the field. You know, that's why I never have any regrets about playing football, even though I didn't. I was supposed to play in college, but I didn't. But at the same time, it's like I never touched the field where I didn't give my all. Every time I touched the field, from my first time playing football to when I stopped playing football, even when I did a little spring in college, like every time I touched the field, I gave it my all. You know what I'm saying? I left nothing that you know what I'm saying. So I that's why I didn't have a problem really walking away because I gave it my all. You know, and then the minute it didn't become fun for me. You know, it's just time to stop. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna end up hurt. You know, different things were in my life path now, and I had to realize early like God got a different path for me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I wanted to play ball. I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to do all this shit at first, but then that's not my path. You know, that's not where he wants me to be. You understand what I'm saying? So, um, but there's a danger in all that too, because if you're not careful, being softened by life can make you cynical or overly fragile. And that softness, when unguarded, can leave you disillusioned with the cold world that doesn't always return with warmth, right? And but you can't mistake softness for weakness. The potato may yield, but it also absorbs. It takes in flavor. It retains memory. It becomes nourishment. That softness can be power if it's rooted in awareness and not avoidance. So people game, you know. Um, that's why you always have to be aware. If you're an empath and you just have to be aware. You can't let people take control of your mind and your spirit and your heart, or just be manipulated. That doesn't feel good because then it'll turn you into a cold motherfucker. I think a lot of people out here are very hurt. I think everybody kind of starts out genuine, but once you get hurt, it either drives you in the right direction or the wrong direction. You know what I'm saying? You can either heal up or hurt other people. So let's get on number 3, right? The hardness born of survival. And then there's the egg, right? Now we on the egg. It's fragile on the outside, but once boiled, it hardens within. So these are people who, after being dropped in the fire, they respond with grit. And that trauma didn't just visit them; it built something up in them, like it made them stronger. Like it's like going to the gym and you building up strength, you building up your muscles, you tearing it down just to build it up. They've seen too much to flinch. They've hurt too long to bleed every time. They're the ones who trust sparingly, love cautiously, and walk through the storm with dry eyes. You know, but the hardening comes with the cost. For every yin there's a yang. For every up there's a down. For every left there's a right. For every north there's a south. You understand? All that hardening comes with the cost. Pause. Many eggs not believe, like they're alive. Many eggs become emotionally impenetrable. So the same survival mode that saved them, now it isolates them. And they stop crying and they start feeling, they stop crying and stop feeling that they just shut themselves off, and everything kind of gets held up ironically, they kind of get shelled up, and they stop connecting and they stop breaking, but they also stop growing. So that hardness, like armor, it protects, but if you wear it too long, you'll forget how to feel. You feel what I'm saying? So let's break this down. Let's wrap this on up, right? So here's the truth that stings, right? You don't get to control the water. You only get to control who you become in it. We all want to stay in the easy water. We all want easy waters, gentle breezes, and calm tides. But life's most transformative moments are forged under heat. The question isn't will you be boiled? The question is, what will the water reveal about you? Will it expose your need to be softer or need to protect your softness with stronger boundaries? Will it call you to let go or will it teach you to hold your ground? And all that pain, when it gets alchemized, can birth wisdom, and pressure, when embraced, can birth purpose. See, the egg and the potato are metaphors, of course. Humans ain't vegetables and proteins, but we're more, we're a lot more complex. We can be soft and strong, be tender and tough, and we can let parts of ourselves soften um, that need to, and let other parts harden where necessary. Pause. But but the transformation is becoming one or the other. It's knowing when to be which, right? It's knowing when to turn it on, when to turn it off. You have to know when to cut it on, when to cut it off. You have to know. There will be moments where life breaks you open and you'll weep like a child. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest. It makes you a human being. There will be days when you harden up to make it through. It doesn't make you cold. It just makes you aware. The goal is not to avoid the water, but the goal is to learn how to use those moments. You got to learn how to use the hot water. You got to learn how to use that pressure to navigate you through whatever you're going through. You know what I'm saying? Because it's there for a reason. And like I said earlier, it's inevitable. So what you gonna do? What are you going to do? You know? So to wrap this up, regardless on where you at or how old you are, where you at in life, the fire is coming. And when the fire comes, what will you become? Life is going to bring heat, sometimes in the form of heartbreak, sometimes in the form of pressure to perform, to survive, to endure. And sometimes you won't feel ready, but maybe that's the point. You know that that boiling water is the great equalizer. But you are the variable. You feel what I'm saying? You decide whether it will harden your heart or soften your spirit, whether it will toughen your resolve or break your will, whether it will poison you with bitterness or season you with wisdom. you know. So when the heat rises and everything inside of you wants to run, pause. Stop, think. When everything is going crazy, I always, I have a thought in my head, like I always try to stay in the eye of the hurricane. The eye of the hurricane is the calmest part of the hurricane. And I always try to stay in the eye of the hurricane. I always want to take some time out to pause and see what's going on around me before I, you know what I'm saying, before I, go through it. You feel me? But you have to ask yourself, what am I made of? You know, because in the end, it's never about the water. The water is the uncontrolled variable, but you are the control variable. So it ain't really about the water. It's about who you choose to become when it starts to boil. You understand what I'm saying? Who you gonna be? What you gonna do when that water starts boiling? When that pot get hot? You understand what I'm saying? What are you going to do? You know, that is what's important, and that is what can't get lost, especially right now. It's a lot of um it's a lot of rules going on. It's a lot of games being played with your mind. You know what I'm saying? The most important thing about intelligence is not the fact that it's smart. It's the fact that even if you don't know something, it's your willingness to go and seek the information and go create your own opinion about it, on your own thought about it. I think that's, in my opinion, 75%, maybe even 80% of being intelligent. 20 of that is knowing. The other part is just, okay, if I don't know, let me go and find out. Let me go and read. Let me go and seek that knowledge. Let me go and try to understand what's going on over here rather than just accept what everybody else is talking about and just, okay, it's whatever, don't be a doofus. Don't be like the mother niggas. Like the mother people, like, they just take whatever the fuck is out there. They don't give a fuck. Some people are just here to hate. Some people are just here to be weirdos. Some people are just here to shit. They're just here, you know. They're just here. They don't want to achieve nothing. They don't strive for anything. They never try to create anything. They never tried to be anything. They just kind of take what life gives them. And sometimes that's not enough. A lot of times that's not enough. So you got to want to be more and visualize yourself with more and having more and doing more. And then you got to walk into that. You got to do the work. I always say, like, something that I found out through life, me getting older, 35 years old. I turned 35 on June 19th of this year. And one of the things I thought about on that day was, you know where you come from, right? And you know the destination. So everything in the middle is what you got to find out. It's kind of like that equation that a lot of us hated in math. I don't know. I ain't no math wizard. I was a language arts reading guy. I'm not a math wizard, but the one I used to hate the most was find the X. You know what I'm saying? You have to find the X. So they gave you the first part of the problem and they gave you the answer. Now you got to do some reverse engineering. And once I understood that I had to do some reverse engineering to find the answer, it kind of made math easier. It made them probably easier. You know what I'm saying? For me. But at first I was like, I ain't trying to find a motherfucking X. What the fuck is this shit? We find out. Why is the alphabets in math now? But that's what I got out of it is sometimes once you go on your purpose and once you deal with your purpose, like you know what you want to do. You know where you want to go. You know what you're gonna do when you get whatever you want to get. But you gotta find a way to get there. You gotta find an X. And you also know where you've been. So in between where you've been and where you're trying to go, you gotta find that X. You gotta close that gap from who you are right now and who you want to be. You understand what I'm saying? And something about that hot water, like a shit, it's gonna make you go either way. Either you gonna fold or be bold. You know what I'm talking about? Either you gonna stand tall or crawl. You know what I'm talking about? That's how it goes, man. But like I said, man, that's pretty much it for this installment of the prescription. Like I said, man, go and find me everywhere. If you want to support the show, please support the show. We need all your help. We need everything. We need the financials, we need the spirituals, and we need the everything else. Like we need prayer. We need a little coin, you know what I'm talking about. If you got a little dollar, $2 to share to the platform, please do. Everything on this platform is going right back into the platform. You know what I'm saying? And we need your prayers too. You know, we need your likes and shares and all that good shit. But we need shit that's on the outside of this too. Beyond all the likes and shares and subscribes and all that, we need your help. Like we need your help. We trying to build something here that's very special. That's going to be very special in due time. You feel what I'm saying? It's worth the grind. It's worth the push. And I think if I get enough people that get behind this, we can really turn this shit on out. You feel what I'm saying? And really do what we came here to do, and really step on this bullshit that's going on out here in the internet. You know, a lot of it is always going to be here, but you know, it's time to shift the paradigm. You feel what I'm saying? It's time to support the real people with real platforms to actually get out here and do the work, and not the ones that just sit and just be a part of the system. A lot of the people in our culture are just a part of the system. You know, they benefit off whatever, not knowing that they really getting pimped. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know about y'all, but I ain't into being pimped. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to building this platform. I'm looking at different templates that the people have set before us, and that's where I want to go. And the only way we can do that is with your help. So in the meantime, please support the show. And that's it. Monumental to be monumental. Stay trilling here. Most of all, stay trill. Stay tuned, stay trill, subscribe, or stay lost. And I'm gone.